So I was struggling to figure out what to talk about in this week's video blog, and originally I filmed a video on my thoughts on CM Punk and him signing with UFC and all this other stuff and his departure from WWE, which occurred 1 year ago this month. And I was going to put it up today, but I figured I'd save that for 2 weeks from now when it was the real 2-year anniversary from when he left, or 1 year anniversary from when he left WWE. Because something occurred to me just the other day that I figured I'd talk about. I'm filming this on the day that I'm putting it out on Friday. And, and it was 2 days ago on the 13th. I think today's the 16th. Today's the 16th. It was on the 14th, I think, 2 days ago, that the 1 year anniversary of when the WWE legend, WWE Hall of Famer, Mae Young passed away. And I figured I'd talk about that for a little bit. Now, Mae Young, dating back to when I started watching wrestling in April of 2008, has always been a regular. Like, you have your legends that come in every once in a while, the regular legends, you know what I'm talking about. Like the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase's, the Dusty Rhodes, the IRSs. Like, we see those guys all the time when we have the old school Raws and stuff like that. Mae Young was always a regular like that as well. She was not even only appearing on those kind of shows, but she would always make that occasional appearance every few months for the Santa's Little Helpers match. Like, in my 7 years of watching wrestling, I have so many memories of Mae Young and WWE programming, from kissing the Great Khali to all this other stuff, from that backstage segment with The Rock, which I always laugh at every single time I go back and watch it on YouTube. The segment where she can encounter The Rock backstage at WrestleMania 27. It's so fucking funny. I thought it was hilarious. And a few of the other segments as well, like when she came back for the New Year's Eve edition of Monday Night Raw. She gave birth to another monstrosity in Hornswoggle on the, I think that was in 2012, when she came back for Old School Raw the first time around. One of my fondest memories of Mae Young, when she called Lay Cool out for being sluts and bitches. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. One of the funniest things I've ever seen in WWE programming in my 7 years as a fan. Even beyond that, going back and watching old programming on the network and seeing even more clips of her backstage with Fabulous Moolah, who she was very good friends with before she passed away in 2007, rest her soul. And, seeing all these segments with her at WrestleMania 20, some random match at a New Year's Revolution, like 06 or 07, when she came in and she was involved in a bras and panties match, and it was hysterical. Not as bad as the bras and panties. It wasn't a match. It was a contest, a bikini contest, and Mae Young threw her name into the hat. And she won, too, funnily enough. And she came out, and that was the infamous event where she showed her puppies to the world. And thank the Lord it was censored out on the WWE Network when I was watching it back. And I think that was the either 2000 or 01 installment of the Royal Rumble. I think it might have been 2000, but still, really funny moment. I've always been a big Mae Young fan. She's always hilarious. And, of course, the news broke in early 2014, at the very first week of the year. It was like a roller coaster of a week, as the entire year would prove out to be. But that 1 week, we got the announcement of the WWE Network. Caitlyn, one of my favorite divas, was leaving the company. All this stuff was happening. And in the midst of it all, it was announced, or the news broke that Mae Young was having some problems, health-wise. And, figuring, the fact that she's 91 years old, I think she was at the time of her passing, or 92, or something like that. And she's always bounced back. This lady is, she had appeared on Raw at the age of 90 years old. When she turned 90 years old on the second edition of Old School Raw in 2013. And that was another hilarious moment when the entire roster is out on the stage singing happy birthday to her 1 or 2 days before her actual birthday. Cult of Personality hits, CM Punk comes out and interrupts, just walks right through the birthday party. Absolutely hysterical. One of the best parts of that entire evening. And I was looking forward to her being on the third installment of Old School Raw on the first Raw of 2014. Like I said, would not come to be due to her health. So it was nothing a lot of people were really concerned about, because a lot of people figured that, it was only a temporary thing. She always bounced back she always bounced back from this kind of stuff. And she promised Vince herself that she would, at the age of 100, would be on Raw wrestling Vince's granddaughter or Stephanie, or I forgot who it was, whatever promise that he made to her. It was so funny, though. And, the only legend, the only woman in WWE history and wrestling history to wrestle, I think, once in at least every decade, dating back to like the 1930s or something like that. So it's absolutely historic in that sense. But, dating back, going back to what I was saying before, and the health situation with Mae Young started to get a little more serious. And then the news broke that she was on her deathbed like a week later, and a lot of people started to get very concerned. And I mean, it was only a matter of time before she passed, so it was very, very sad. And I think she ended up passing away, like I said, on that Tuesday night or Wednesday. I think it was that Tuesday night. Well, there was at one point where she almost passed away, and it was reported that she did pass away when she didn't. And she kicked out at 2, like a lot of people were saying on Twitter, which I thought was great. And, you know, she recovered, and she ended up living for, I think, another week or so. And she ended up passing away on that, I think that Tuesday night, the 14th, I think I want to say. And WWE put out a video on their YouTube page, which made me a little tear up a little at the time. I'll admit that. I will not shy away from that. The video that they put out on that Wednesday night in tribute to Mae Young and her entire career. They always do the best job of those kind of videos anyway, like with The Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Mae Young, Paul Bearer. Every single one of those tribute videos after all of those passings have all made me tear up because they're always so well done. And Mae Young especially hit home for me. You know, like much like the Warrior and Macho Man, like those were my inspirations. Those were my favorite wrestling legends in the 1980s. But Mae Young was different because she was like, I don't want to say like she was our grandmother or anything like that. Not just for me, but in the entire wrestling world. Because she was on the programming the entire time. She was always on WWE programming. She was there all the time. So she really had a connection with the WWE universe, unlike any other legend in WWE history. And that's not to say that she was better than anyone else or anything like that, but it especially hit home for me and many, many others, seeing how she was always on programming, and we would never get that anymore now that she had passed away at the age, I think, of 91, like I said before. So it was really, really sad. But, you know, still in that tribute video that the WWE put out on their YouTube page on that day, they were really allowed to pay tribute to the legend that was Mae Young. And like I said before, we have been, you know, we know her as this, you know, the WWE Hall of Famer that comes back every once in a while on WWE programming after being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2008. But, you know, you go all the way back, and like I said before, she's the only woman, maybe the only person in history, I'm not exactly sure, to wrestle at least once in every decade, dating back to like the 1930s. Unprecedented, absolutely, so it's crazy to even think about. But that being said, though, a lot of people tend to forget the career that she had before she became this regular in WWE programming. The legend that was Mae Young, one of the pioneers of women's wrestling, dating back to, like I said, the 1930s. I don't know if she was ever women's champion in WWE. I don't think she ever was. But, you know, even beyond her WWE career, dating back all the stuff that she did in the NWA and all these other different promotions, dating back to when she first got into wrestling at the age of 18 or 19, it's such a young age, and a beautiful woman at that age too. If you look back at the pictures and stuff like that in that video that WWE put out, you can go back and check it out after you watch this. But yeah, just an absolute, you know, iconic figure, a pioneer in women's wrestling. A lot of people tend to forget that, overlook that. You know, not only that too, like I said before, an icon in women's wrestling and wrestling history, but also, you know, a very fun-loving character that WWE fans have grown to know as this kind of like the WWE Universe's grandma that we all, you know, love, you know, get a chuckle out every once in a while that when they're on WWE programming. So it really hit home for a lot of people, myself included, when she passed away 1 year ago this week. And, you know, we take this time to not mourn the loss of Mae Young, like with everyone else, of course, but to celebrate her legacy, celebrate the career that was Mae Young. So, Mae Young, we miss you, we love you, rest in peace, and hopefully we see you one day. Miss you, Mae Young.